All right, hello, and good morning, perhaps good evening, depending on where in the world you are tuning in from. So today I'm going to do a collective reading for light workers and healers in regards to retrograde season. Now, retrograde season began with Pluto retrograde. I think it was on the 30th. We have kicked off Mercury retrograde today. And then we're in retrograde season until the very end of 2022, and it moves us into 2023, okay? So these energies are really going to be indicative of what we're looking at, what we're kind of facing for the rest of the year into the next one. Now, if you've watched me for even a hot minute, you know that I actually love retrograde season. I am not a fan of the fear that is often kind of put out within the world or about retrogrades. Retrogrades are a time to slow down, to come into the heart space and to get clarity. Now, each different retrograde has a different theme, has a different energy, and invites us to explore different areas of life, different ideas, different concepts. And if you're interested in learning more, I did release the retro guide this month in Wild Hearted Collective. If you want more information about what that community could do for you, go ahead and send me a PM. Okay, but today I'm going to go over the general theme for each of the retrogrades, as well as pick a collective guide. I also am offering these as personal readings, which I will drop a link to at the end. Okay, so I'm gonna just go ahead, come into some gratitude here. Gratitude for the stars, gratitude for the ability to show up and serve as I am called, gratitude for my community, deeply appreciative and thankful for my daughter Jocelyn, who I've been having so much fun with over the past couple of weeks, playing and just slowing down, honoring the themes of retrograde. And I am grateful to anybody who shows up either live or catches the replay. I now call myself present. I invoke the angels, guides, the ascended masters, the beings of light and unconditional love. Thank you to be with me in my highest awareness as I do this reading for the collective here today. I ask that you wrap your wings of protection around myself and the planet, keeping us safe from negative energy, lower vibrations, and always the ego. And please keep me in integrity, ensuring that these messages channel through me and not be from me. And as always, just give me a nudge should I need to articulate the difference. Whew. All right. So the collective guide that we are working with is hope. Isn't this a beautiful energy? So this is the theme of the season for us as a collective, as a community. So if you are catching this, Spirit has a message for you here today. Now, hope is all about asking for what it is you want and being willing to receive it. Choose loving thoughts. Be very mindful of what it is you're calling in, and ensure that you are kind of putting this positive spin on it. Now, the other message that I'm hearing right now is that we can kind of amplify our magnetism by saying, you know, let everything I'm asking for be in service for the highest good of all, not just for myself or yourself, but really showing up in service to love and the ascension of the planet. Okay, and I'm not surprised to see one of her taglines is about divine worth and self-worth. And many of you know that this is one of my own core wounds that I am consistently navigating and healing, is really stepping and owning my worth. And so many of the women, naturally, and maybe even the males, the dudes that I support or that catch here, also are going to be navigating this idea of their worth. What are you worth? My love, you can't put a price tag on it, okay? Spirit wants you to know that you can't put a price on your worth. Okay, you have to kind of price it in a way that feels really good for you, is the message that's coming in. So that might be for many individuals, but I do feel like that's something that's on the heart of someone at this time. Okay, so Pluto retrograde, we're already in the heart of that. Spirit is saying not necessarily the heart, but really in the early stages of Pluto. Pluto retrograde. And Pluto retrograde is really about transformation. It flavors the whole season. So what is the greater transformation at work here being supported by Pluto? Oh, they told me to just pick. I love this. So we have the spider, creative projects. So really this is about creation of your life. Sometimes we look at creation and we get almost like this very narrow tunnel vision of it, but this is expanding that vision. What is the whole web of your life going to include? And this is something that I've definitely been working on over the past couple of weeks, is expanding my vision past mission and spirituality, but really kind of getting back to earth, getting back to 3D. And this is the call for all of us. What are you being called to create for yourself, for others? Where are you hyper-focused and kind of being, so what they're saying is, they're calling it narrow vision, so not narrow focused, but where are you being super focused right now? And can you soften the energy around that and allow it to expand? Allow yourself to start to look into other areas of life that perhaps you've been ignoring or even avoiding. Okay, and then you are the conscious creator of your reality, not to sound cliche, but that's the truth. So what will you create? What do you want as part of your reality? Pluto, as it dances backwards through the sky, is going to support you in identifying that and also stepping into it. Now, a lot of this clarity is going to come in this first couple of weeks when we have the pairing of Pluto retrograde and this first Mercury retrograde, because Mercury is about getting clarity in your message, in your words, in communication. It's about unplugging from the matrix, the patriarchal narrative, and dropping into the heart-centered one. Okay, so feeling that energy. Do let me know how these energies are sitting, how they're resonating. So the next one, the next one is our first Mercury retrograde, and I actually got 2 cards, and I love to see this. So we have the bee vibe. I'm trying to get it with a good angle here. The bee is good luck, it's industrious, it's sweet victory, and it's clarified by the king. Whew, man, so that masculine energy, that union, the 𝐿𝐼𝐼 pertaining to law and justice. And if you checked out the daily reading over on Instagram or even on my YouTube shorts, you'll know that justice came up as one of the cards in the Mercury retrograde reading. So what this is really speaking to, the bee is also a symbol of the divine feminine. And here we have the bee paired with kind of the archetype of the divine masculine in the king energy. So this Mercury retrograde, this first one, is really going to illuminate to you where you are still kind of separating out your masculine and feminine. And then it's going to start to show you the way to really blend them, to integrate them, so that you can experience that divine union within yourself. And that divine union within yourself then leads to such abundance and prosperity in all areas of life. Okay, and that's a message that I've really been playing with, is that abundance. Sometimes, I know I get this, maybe this will resonate for you, but I get locked into abundance being money, being financial. And Spirit is really, and talk about really trying to get through to me, Spirit is really saying to me lately that abundance is so much greater than the financial, than the monetary. And so if that's really tickling something or pinging something for you right now, consider what abundance is sitting right in your life right now. That's sitting there and maybe not looked at, not appreciated. I have seen so much as Spirit and I have been doing this work on my own journey. Okay, now the king energy with this Mercury retrograde, we are being called to task. We are being called to really explore the actions that we are being guided to take. And with this bee, like I said, divine feminine vibe, and this king, this is grounded action. This is aligned creativity. It's not limited. It's expansive. I'm really getting this expansive vibe for all of us, and I'm digging it. Okay, so watch and really, thank you. Spirit corrected me, not watch, listen. Not listen to the thinking mind, listening to the heart, listening to the womb. For those of you who are really starting to go there with me into the womb space, really channeling from that womb energy, Go deeper, go within, listen for the action, and then take it, then follow through. But I know, and I found myself in this trap often, I know a lot of the women I support get busy instead of actually getting shit done. And so if you find you do yourself doing that, please don't judge yourself, give a lot of peace and grace, and then choose to take that aligned action. That one that's very focused, that's like, yes, that's gonna get me closer to where I most desire to be. Okay, so really feeling that, so the next thing in this spread would be the second Mercury retrograde, which comes up a little bit later in the year. I think it's September, October. I'm gonna actually, Spirit said it's okay to just pull one card in regards to that, okay? So second Mercury retrograde, I didn't write down the exact dates before I went live, and my brain is a little not the best at remembering everything. So just know it's in the fall, and we have birth and rebirth. So really start to expect what Spirit is saying right now is that the things that you start to put into motion in this first Mercury retrograde is going to really start to create that transformation. You're going to really start to see the transformation as opposed to feel it in that second Mercury retrograde in the fall. Okay, so this is even more important to plant intentional seeds. Get very clear on where it is you desire to go, and then take the actions that get you there. Okay, not just the actions that others are telling you to take, but the ones that really resonate, that feel coherent with where you're going. Okay. So that is that second Mercury retrograde. Let's go ahead and go into Saturn. So if you're curious why I'm just using one deck, I'm using the Wisdom of Avalon, and the Avalonian energy is rising on the planet right now. Those of us who walked the path of the Avalon priestess or druid, priest, monk, whatever terms you guys identify with, those gifts are rising right now. And so really honoring that, in a great way to really tap into that. I love Lucy Cavendish's book, Lost Lands. There's an entire chapter on Avalon. There's also Lemuria and Atlantis. But when I sit with that Avalon chapter, I feel myself going back. Okay. All right. So Saturn retrograde. So Saturn is this planet of contraction. Remember that for every expansion we experience, there does need to be the polarity, the opposite of it, which is the contraction. Saturn is also very rigid. Saturn is the karmic father. So we're going to be, I always think that Saturn retrograde presents a lot of challenges in which we can overcome. For many of you, you've been walking your path very consciously, very much, very intentionally over the past couple of years, right? 2020 was a big year for awakening. So many of you have this level of awareness, and you're going to be able to navigate these challenges with a lot of ease, with a lot of grace. A lot of crap that you've been through before is going to come up again, but here's the difference. You went through it once and you saw what worked. Adhere to that same thing. Maybe a little tweak, maybe a little bit of a pivot here and there. Is pay attention. But just know that you have everything you need in your toolkit in order to work your way through this path or with this on your journey. Okay, but okay, now the actual card for that Saturn retrograde. We have the mystery, okay? And this is, there's a lot of unknown, and I will tell you that I do know that this summer is going to be epic in regards to awakenings on the planet. People we thought would never wake up are going to start waking up. So watch for the signs of that. And, my guidance for you with this mystery, whereas we're not being told, it's very much the unknown. It's almost like we have a blindfold on and we're feeling in the dark. Don't chase people down with knowledge, with guidance. It's in everybody's best interest. And I've noticed this on my own journey. I've needed some space to be held for me recently, and I've had to get very specific with people that I wasn't open to advice. I just needed someone to hold me. And so I do know that this is a pattern within the feminine collective that we are being called to address. Holding space isn't about chasing somebody down with your knowledge, your guidance. You know, it's really like just staying open, being receptive to their journey. And even asking, would you like me to give you advice? Would you like me to do a reading? Would you like me to pull a card? How would you like me to show up for you? Rather than, and you guys, like, we always come from a good space. So like, really, like, it comes from a good space. Like, whoops, we mean well, but sometimes that's not what somebody needs. So learn to be a way shower, not by running after someone, but just staying centered, staying in your light, staying in your energy, rather than, you know, like the example that's coming to mind is maybe somebody from high school starts to post something and you're like, oh, early signs awakening. Rather than messaging them, just stay present and know that when the time is right, they will come to you. This is part of that divine feminine magnetism. They will come to you when and if you are meant to serve and support them. Okay, so that's a really big message that has been coming through very strong. Like I said, I've experienced it on, like, so receiving, like, I've been like, oh, that's not space holding. That's like, you know, it's been aggressive at times, well-meaning, but a little bit too much. And so, but that's caused me to pause and look within and say, because the mirror is always working, where am I maybe doing that? And how can I come back to center? How can I hold myself as the lighthouse as opposed to functioning like the Coast Guard? Okay, so that's Saturn retrograde. Let's go ahead and jump into Neptune. I always feel Neptune. It's my chart ruler. It governs my rising sign. So I always feel this energy. And I love it. So Neptune, we have the theme of joy. And this is, so Neptune vibes is all about dreaming, is all about oneness, transcendence. It is the spiritual planet, it is like the spiritual, I'll say like the spiritual awakening. So really tapping into what makes you joyful. And if you remember, if you were here, the Pluto retrograde was all about creating and expanding this view and vision of life. So right around this Neptune retrograde, you're going to be really asked to fine tune that vision. Are the things that you're sitting with right now to expand and bring more abundance, bring more love into your life really tickling the joy button? Are they really feeling aligned and good? Because sometimes, and I'm sure you can think about a period in your life where you manifested something and you were like, yes, it's landed. And then about a couple days later, you're like, well, this is some fuck shit right here. Like, this is definitely not what I really wanted. Don't be afraid to send it back to the universe and be like, thank you so much for delivering, but I would actually like to pivot that request a little bit. You know, it's okay for you to say, I'm really grateful that we worked together on this, but really, I'm gonna need to reorder. Send it back to the kitchen. Say like, actually, I need it without bananigans. I need it, you know, whatever it is. It's okay. It's okay. And that's part of the collaboration process. That's part of the creation process. If you think about any area of life, even like, think about decorating your home. Sometimes you move something somewhere and you're like, no, and so you move it. Well, all of life is the same way, okay? So our joy is going to be called up and really sitting on front and center. What brings you joy? And because we're going through this slow, and because we're going to be going through this retrograde together, we can, okay, so I'm going to say we can hold each other accountable. When shit goes ass up, we can say like, are you slowing down? If it's really that chaotic, if it's really that kind of, whoa, what is the invitation there? Can you slow down? Can you readdress? Can you reimagine? That's a huge word that's coming through my channel right now, is reimagine. I'm reimagining my business. I'm reimagining most of the areas of my life at this point. It's been a lot of fun. And that's what Spirit is saying for you right here is like, can you let it be fun? Take the work out of life and out of creating life. After, can you pivot? Can you clear that up a little? Woo! Yeah, they can. Can you move out of the energy of I'm achieving this to I would like to receive this? and just see what happens. And that's going to be around Neptune retrograde. Again, I don't have the date sitting in front of me. You are welcome to Google that. Okay. So moving into Jupiter, and that, do notice, so back in April, I think it was April 22nd, we had that great Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. And right around these Jupiter and Neptune retrogrades, those same themes are going to be arising again, okay? You get do-overs, right? Like, we get do-overs in life. That's kind of the point. And not just between lifetimes, right? So if we screw it up this lifetime, we'll be back. We can get it next time. But really, like, even this part of the human experience, you get that do-over, babe, and take it. Okay, so where am I? I'm on Jupiter. I get really excited about these. Aha! So Jupiter, planet of expansion, planet of, you know, I always think of Diana, goddess of the hunt, where she's the archer and she's the one who kind of pulls the arrow back, takes a look at the target. And here's what Spirit really wants you to know is eventually, if you want to hit the target, if you want the arrow to actually land, you have to release it. And so I do feel this Jupiter retrograde is really about letting go, not giving up, letting go, which is such a common message I get for the divine feminine, because how many times have you been told to surrender on your path? How many times have you been told to move forward, to let go, to release what doesn't serve you? Well, that is going to rise for all of us during Jupiter retrograde, but remember that until you let it go, it can't really land. And the other message, and this comes through often as well, is that there are no endings or beginnings. There's only transformation. Okay, but the card, movement, and that is that let it go. Release it, let it sail, let it fly, and trust wherever it lands, okay? The divine source, the God of your understanding, is forever working on your behalf and always supporting you in the manifestation of your desires. But, and this recently was a part of one of the collective readings, is in order to manifest your desires, sometimes you do need to learn some lessons. So if you're coming up against some struggles, some hardships, I'm thinking yesterday I went walking, I walked barefoot in the woods and I stubbed my toe. And I was like, what the hell? That sucked. But when I looked down, it was like, I should have seen it because it was painted red. It was like a tree stump that was painted bright red. I should not have missed it. But like, sometimes we need to stub our toes. Sometimes we need to get caught up in a challenge in order to realign, in order to pivot, in order to really open up to what it is we want. Okay. I also almost had a very scary interaction yesterday with a rattlesnake, which was a big ass motherfucker. And thank God I looked up, right, or looked down in the nick of time. She let me know that it was there. She was rattling and hissing up a storm, but it was big. And then my card this morning was snake spirit. So message received, universe. Okay, now, so just expect to make some movement, to feel yourself, feel the pull, feel the call forward, and to follow it. If you're someone who takes a lot of time to make decisions, if you have to kind of sit on shit for a while, Jupiter retrograde is going to be a little triggering. I like Spirit is saying, you know, you're going to be challenged on that, to stop sitting so long on your divine, on your intuition, on the wisdom that's coming through, and to take action. Okay, so that's something Spirit wants you to know. If you are a sitter and a waiter and you're constantly like, show me another sign. Okay, you know, I saw a purple panda dancing in front of me as asked, can you now show me, I don't know, you know, can it start raining feathers? Whatever it is, okay? Spirit is saying, like, it's kind of like, it's not losing patience. It doesn't lose patience, but it is going to challenge you to take action as opposed to continue to sit, okay? So there's that. Now, Uranus, so this is, if you're in the collective and you've read your retro guide, Uranus is the planet to watch. This is really going to be when there's a lot of awakening happening. And I can't stop smiling when I hear that, because 2020, I know it was kind of a crappy year, but it was also my best year. I loved watching the planet awake. I love watching people face their shadows and be confronted by their own bullshit. And we're gonna see it again, and I cannot wait. Okay, so with this Uranus retrograde, we have burden. So what burden are you carrying at this time? It's time to put that down. You no longer have to hold it. You no longer have to, so it's like some of you, yeah, so I just censored myself. I said some of you, but like I include myself in all of these messages, right? So it's like, what challenge, what struggle are you like gripping? And you're like, no, this is a challenge, but I don't want to let it go. I'm just going to hold it. I'm going to hold it so nobody can take it away from me. Who are you if you put this down? Who are you if you stop the struggle? If you decide, I'm tired and my back is sore and I don't want to do this anymore. And you have been feeling this for some time, and you're going to make this conscious choice during this retrograde to put it down. Because it's like, if you don't put it down now, like if this doesn't inspire you to drop it, you're going to be carrying it with you maybe until the next retrograde, or until the universe is like, no more. And really, for many of us, Spirit is saying, you know, because it's going to be an awakening of those who haven't awakened yet. But for those of us who have awakened, we're always and forever in the process of awakening. That's why there is no like, oh, well, I awakened and I'm superior. It's like, no, we're all kind of a mess. Like, we're all going to continuously awaken over and over and over again until we've cleared out and we are embodiments of divine love. Okay, but I think I digress a little bit. So Spirit's going to show you, this is that pattern, that thought, that belief that really is weighing you down, is preventing you from propelling preventing you from getting momentum forward, preventing you, like standing there like a big old roadblock from what it is you really want. And Spirit might even use those words like, you can have what you really want, or you can continue to hold this shit. But it's like, you can't do both. Okay? And you'll know what this burden is because it does not serve you, other than it gives you something to cling to. And what Spirit is saying right now is, many times we cling to something because we have no idea, if we let go, what's going to fill that space. Sometimes the blessing is that not a damn thing fills that space. You get stillness, you get silence, you get peace. And we live in a world, this is part of the awakening, Spirit is saying, we live in a world that's about the stuff, about the external. It's about the relationship, the, you know, the business, the job, the career, the kids, whatever it is. And we're just going to be called to put down all the bull crap around it so that we can actually live the life that's on the vision board that we've been scripting about. Okay? That's juicy energy. I'm digging it. Okay? Last card. And I do see I have comments. What I will do is respond after the live, because I am going to download this video and then put it up on my YouTube to kind of, I need to find an alternative to kill two birds with one stone, because it's kind of the opposite of what I'm about. It's like kind of violent. But yeah, so I'm going to eventually put this on YouTube, and I don't want to digress too much. Aww. So we have Mars retrograde, and that energy is the dog. So this is loyalty, sincerity, and unconditional love. And if you caught the pick a cards over in the membership this past Sunday, this Mars retrograde, which is typically a little bit aggressive, a little challenging, especially because this one takes place in, Gemini, which can also be quite challenging, at least for Karen. Gemini energy can be a little challenging at times. So, but this dog is really about, there's a lot of aggression, there's a lot of hostility, there's a lot of antagonistic energy transpiring within the collective. How can you be an embodiment of the dog, an embodiment of that unconditional love, where you show up and advocate as you are called to advocate from a heart of love? Or do you want to, I totally got distracted. there. Whoop, I was thinking of Sebastian actually. But really, like, how can you show up and advocate as called or walk away, right? Like at a certain point, there are times when it's like, I'm talking to someone who's not going to listen, or I'm fighting the wrong fight here. I don't really know if we should fight at all. My stance is, you know, let everybody else battle it out and just stay in the vibration of love, and eventually it catches. Like, it's like, I don't know, it's like a, whatever the new thing is out there, it'll catch, right? You can't wear a mask to repel love, right? You're just gonna have to open up and receive it. And that's gonna be what happens for Mars retrograde, right? The world, we're gonna see some ugly shit during that period. And that's the one that takes us into 2023. We're gonna see some nasty energy. We're gonna see people, we're gonna be looking at certain people in our lives like, when did we ever resonate? When did we ever align? Or like, how are we so different? How have we grown this apart? And it's because you're stepping into love, I'm assuming, if you're here, and maybe they're stepping further into fear or anger or aggression. Now, that's not to say that we never get angry or we're never aggressive, right? It's about how we channel that energy. And it's about how we utilize it, okay? All right, my loves. So this is what I have for you for the season. Again, if you want to view the pick a card, you can join Wild Hearted Collective. We did that on Sunday. And I'm also doing personal retrograde readings, which I will drop in the comments once I finish here, okay? But I love you, and I will see you next time. And all right, bye.